Gary Reinhardt clearly remembers the summer day in 2002 when the stranger walked in and issued his threat. Reinhardt was behind the counter of the Square Deal, his old-time country store, as he calls it, on the fading town square of Eagleville, Missouri, a tiny farm community 100 miles north of Kansas City. The Square Deal is a fixture in Eagleville, a place where farmers and townspeople can go for light bulbs, greeting cards, hunting gear, ice cream, aspirin, and dozens of other small items without having to drive to a big box store in Bethany, the county seat, 15 miles down Interstate 35. Everyone knows Reinhardt, who was born and raised in the area and runs one of Eagleville's few surviving businesses. The stranger came up to the counter and asked for him by name. "Well, that's me," said Reinhardt. As Reinhardt would recall, the man began verbally attacking him, saying he had proof that Reinhardt had planted Monsanto's genetically modified GM soybeans in violation of the company's patent. "Better come clean and settle with Monsanto's," Reinhardt says the man told him, "or face the consequences." Reinhardt was incredulous, listening to the words as puzzled customers and employees looked on. Like many others in rural America, Reinhardt knew of Monsanto's fierce reputation for enforcing its patents and suing anyone who allegedly violated them. But Reinhardt wasn't a farmer. He wasn't a seed dealer. He hadn't planted any seeds or sold any seeds. He owned a really small, country store in a town of 350 people. He was angry that somebody could just barge into the store and embarrass him in front of everyone. "It made me and my business look bad," he says. Reinhardt says he told the intruder, "You got the wrong guy." When the stranger persisted, Reinhardt showed him the door. On the way out, the man kept making threats. Reinhardt says he can't remember the exact words, but they were to the effect of, "Monsanto is big. You can't win. We will get you. You will pay." Scenes like this are playing out in many parts of rural America these days as Monsanto goes after farmers, co-ops, seed dealers, anyone it suspects may have infringed its patents of genetically modified seeds. As interviews and reams of court documents reveal, Monsanto relies on a shadowy army of private investigators and agents in the American heartland to strike fear into farm country. They fan out into fields and farm towns, where they secretly videotape and photograph farmers, store owners, and co-ops, infiltrate community meetings, and gather information from informants about farming activities. Farmers say that some Monsanto agents pretend to be surveyors. Others confront farmers on their land and try to pressure them to sign papers giving Monsanto access to their private records. Farmers call them the seed police, and use words such as Gestapo and mafia to describe their tactics. When asked about these practices, Monsanto declined to comment specifically, other than to say that the company is simply protecting its patents. Monsanto spends more than $2 million a day in research to identify, test, develop and bring to market innovative new seeds and technologies that benefit farmers. Monsanto spokesman Darren Wallace wrote in an emailed letter to Vanity Fair, "One tool in protecting this investment is patenting our discoveries and, if necessary, legally defending those patents against those who might choose to infringe upon them." Wallace said that, while the vast majority of farmers and seed dealers follow the licensing agreements, a tiny fraction do not, and that Monsanto is obligated to those who do abide by its rules to enforce its patent rights on those who reap the benefits of the technology without paying for its use. He said only a small number of cases ever go to trial. Some compare Monsanto's hardline approach to Microsoft's zealous efforts to protect its software from pirates. At least with Microsoft, the buyer of a program can use it over and over again. But farmers who buy Monsanto's seeds can't even do that. The control of nature for centuries, millennia, farmers have saved seeds from season to season. They planted in the spring, harvested in the fall, then reclaimed and cleaned the seeds over the winter for replanting the next spring. Monsanto has turned this ancient practice on its head. Monsanto developed GM seeds that would resist its own herbicide, Roundup, offering farmers a convenient way to spray fields with weed killer without affecting crops. Monsanto then patented the seeds. For nearly all of its history, the United States Patent and Trademark Office had refused to grant patents on seeds, viewing them as life forms with too many variables to be patented. "It's not like describing a widget," says Joseph Mendelson III, the legal director of the Center for Food Safety, which has tracked Monsanto's activities in rural America for years. Monsanto relies on a shadowy army of private agents in the American heartland to strike fear into farm country. Indeed not. But in 1980 the U.S. Supreme Court, in a 5-4 decision, turned seeds into widgets, laying the groundwork for a handful of corporations to begin taking control of the world's food supply. In its decision, the court extended patent law to cover a live human-made microorganism. In this case, the organism wasn't even a seed. Rather, it was a Pseudomonas bacterium developed by a General Electric scientist to clean up oil spills. But the precedent was set, and Monsanto took advantage of it. Since the 1980s, Monsanto has become the world leader in genetic modification of seeds and has won 674 biotechnology patents, more than any other company, according to U.S. Department of Agriculture data. Farmers who buy Monsanto's patented Roundup-ready seeds are required to sign an agreement promising not to save the seed produced after each harvest for replanting, or to sell the seed to other farmers. This means that farmers must buy new seed every year. Those increased sales, coupled with ballooning sales of its Roundup weed killer, have been a bonanza for Monsanto. This radical departure from age-old practice has created turmoil in farm country.